What's going on, everybody? What is going on? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Who do we got on here? Welcome. Happy Saturday night. Looks like we got another good baseball game going on here between the Braves and the Dodgers to see who plays Houston in the World Series. Man. Got a lot of stuff going on. Who's here? Give me a shout in the comments so I can say hello back. What do we got? Weather's getting cooler. I don't know where you guys are, but it's getting cooler over here on the East Coast. At least the Sox. Yeah, you got that right, Daly. You got that right. It's crazy. I mean, it's nuts. You know? I mean, they steamrolled Tampa, and then Houston steamrolled them. It's just like, that's just playoffs baseball. Gerald, what's happening, man? Good evening. Good evening, my man. It's crazy, isn't it, Daly? Isn't it crazy? But that's. I mean, I had thought I had Tampa going to the World Series, but creating things like this happen. Kevin, what's happening, man? Who was there rooting for Astros? Honestly, Kevin, I was rooting for the National League team at this point because I didn't want either one of them to make it, but I'm still going to root for the National League team, whether it's the Dodgers or the Braves against the Astros. I didn't want either one. once it was decided it was going to be the two of them. But I am happy that the Red Sox didn't make it. But I think at the end of the season, the Astros are going to lose Correa, and other teams are going to be losing players too. So either way, it's going to be interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing the Braves win. Just a non-flashy team winning the World Series is kind of cool. Kevin, what's happening? Jeffrey, hey. Yeah, on Long Island, on the breeze out there, Jeffrey. Hey, Lori. Rooting for Atlanta. So am I. I'm rooting for Atlanta at this point. And they've already re-signed Charlie Morton for next year, too. They extended him. So there are a ton of conflicting reports that the Yankees are going to, sign a big player in free agency. I'm hearing, what's his name? John, was it Heyman? He thinks that the Yankees are going to sign Corey Seager and Robbie Ray. He has them, projected to make a couple of big moves. I mean, it's possible. I can see it. Hey, Craig, what's happening, man? Let Travis Shaw go after Anthony. Yeah, I mean, great guy. Good point. Good point, Craig. I think that, I do think Boston's going to go after Anthony Rizzo pretty hard. And they'll be surprised if they go after Marcus Semien as well. You pair him on that side of the infield, and you pair him with Xander Bogaerts. That's a hell of a DP combo. So, Justin, hey, man. I appreciate that. Welcome, Justin, and welcome to the channel. Welcome to the Yankee family, man. I appreciate that, buddy. Do I think we'll get Olsen? I'm right up the middle here with Olsen. He's obviously my first pick, but for some reason my gut's telling me that they're going to wind up going with DJ at first base. I don't think they're going to sign Rizzo for upwards of $80 million since he's already turned down $70 million. And if that's the case, I don't think there's any way they have Freddie Freeman, even though kind of on the pecking order, I don't see that happening. But I would like for them to get Olsen. I just don't know. I'm not confident right now. But again, I'd love to be surprised. And the Yankees getting Verlander, Jeffrey, I wouldn't mind. Honestly. I mean, he made Cole better when he was in the Astros, and he was the guy over there, obviously. I know he's coming off Tommy John, but my only fear is that the Astros are probably going to give him a qualifying offer, and which is going to be $18.4 million this year. So the Yankees are going to have to do better than that in terms of base salary if he says no to a qualifying offer. And again, they're going to have to give him that and a conditional pick. So it will cost. It will cost, but I like Justin Verlander. He's a gamer. He's an arrogant dick, but he's a gamer. Gamer. Yankees need more gamers. So, Chuck, Emilio, what's up? Trey, what's happening, Emilio? I don't think Jock is a free agent. No, maybe. I have to go back and look. Anthony, Cubs fan. I appreciate that, Anthony. Cubs are a good team. I think they're gonna be good again. They're just gonna be rebuilding for a little bit. I think they'll be fine. I like the Cubs. Potential landing spot, Craig, for Anthony Rizzo as the Red Sox. Yeah, it does make sense. It does. I mean, he'd be an upgrade over what they currently have. Who will be stuck with in center field? Hicks, Gardner, Laurie. I don't think Gardner's going to be a starter. I have a feeling they're going to walk, they're going to part ways. Hicks currently right now is lined up to be the starting center fielder, but I would prefer if they didn't make any trades or signings, that it would be Greg Allen in my opinion. But Cashman loves Hicks. He's locked up for a bunch of seasons, and if he's healthy and productive, then he'll be the starting center fielder, in my opinion. Matt Olson would be fantastic. Rizzo will be expensive. Going after Matt, Matt Olson is priority number one for me when it comes to first base. There's no doubt about it. Hey, Alan, what's happening, man? Lorenzo, what's good? Trade Downing has one more year until it's free. Yep. One more year, Jock. Yeah. Jack C, what's good, man? Jock has an option. Yeah, it's outdoor. Jock, he's solid. He's solid. That was a good move by the Braves. So the Yankees better. The Yankees. I hope they didn't clear all this payroll to get under 210 threshold to reset to not spend money. This is the time to spend it. There's a lot of good guys that they could bring in now, and even acquire in trades. But free agency, they can bring in quite a few that would make an impact here. So, and I hope that they do. I really do. Cortez in our starting pitching rotation. Kevin, if they bring in 2 starting pitchers, which I hope they do, then I don't. I have him as a long relief guy in the bullpen. But if they only bring in 1, then he has a shot. But he had trouble the second half of the season, kind of going beyond 4 innings. So that's just my concern. I think they need more time to build him up. But I think that the Yankees would be better off with a 6-man rotation for 2022. I just don't know that that's going to happen. I don't know if they would do that. Then I would have him in there if they had a 6-man rotation. So that's what I would do. Would I rather do an all-prospect trade, major leaguers trade, or a combination of to get Olsen? Combination, Daily. Combo. I think that's what it'll take, in all honesty. Yeah. But there's no way I'm giving up Jason Dominguez or and all that stuff. I saw a trade on, just a heads up. I'm going to do a video this week. I already have it ready to go for, baseball trade values, this simulator website that had a trade for Olsen that gave up Jason Dominguez, Trey Sweeney, Oswald Peraza, Voigt. Like they gave up, was it Austin Wells? I've never seen a haul like that before. And it apparently met the points criteria based on that for getting Olsen and I think it's AJ Puck, who's can't stay healthy. So I've never seen one that so far removed from reality. But there's no way Brian Cashman would ever agree to a trade like that. Ever. Who I think they're going to pick up? I think they're going to wind up picking up, obviously a shortstop. My guess is it'll probably be Corey Seager. If I were, betting man, it would probably be Seager. But would I be surprised if they got Correa? No, I would still like them to consider Chris Taylor from the Dodgers, but because he'll be a good stopgap and somebody they can more easily rotate Volpe in and Peraza or Oswaldo Cabrera, one of their top prospects. So I did a video on kind of Yankees' top homegrown shortstop prospects. I have my free agent targets for shortstop coming up as well. You'll see that. That'll be here Monday. Do I see the Carlos Correa signing with Boston? I don't, only because they have Xander Bogaerts locked in as a starting shortstop there. So I don't. I could see them getting more somebody like Marcus Semien because he can move to second base. He's more versatile than Correa. That I can see more than Carlos Correa. I think he'd be a good fit over there, and that would suck because he stays in the East, but he would take him away from Toronto, but he would just move to Boston, so it would still suck for the Yankees. Cubs owner, yeah. Nah. Yeah, that's the thing with this trade value thing, Daily. It doesn't factor in so many things. It doesn't factor in timing, need, the budgets, and all this different stuff. I saw a couple of beyond ridiculous trades that met the points criteria that any sane GM would just hang up the phone on. So that's why I don't give it much credibility. People using that, some people are bashing my trade ideas, but my trade ideas at least address needs for both sides based on the current market, based on what teams have and so on. You're never going to see a GM and say, all right, this is a good trade for both of us, but I need 2 or 3 more guys because it doesn't fit the points criteria. That's never going to happen, ever. So that's why, as much as I appreciate something like this, if people are using that as their basis to bash my trade ideas and some of the trades that are on there that are so far beyond reality that, I can't find it credible. Sorry, but I can't. So Astros lost Cole, Verlander, Springer, and they're still very good. Yeah. The Astros, one of the reasons the Astros are good is that they draft really well, international signings, domestic signings. They make bold trades, so a couple of good free agents here and there. So they're a well-run team. They have a good, just like Tampa Bay, a combination of everything. And it's a balanced approach with the Astros, with Houston, and with Tampa Bay. That's one reason they're so good. So I think the Tigers will spend crazy. I think the Texas Rangers will spend big this offseason as well. Yankees, who the Yankees going to pick up? I mean, I think they're going to wind up with probably Corey Seager, and probably either Robbie Ray or Carlos Rodon. Yeah, I mean, and Daily, if it factors that information, then that's not a credible. Sorry, that's not a credible simulator. Cashman would laugh in his face at those proposals, and you know that. No. I mean, like the Padres, got 4 starting pitchers, and not one of the trades they give up a top 2 or top 3 prospect, and they got 4 frontline starters. Based on these things, it would be nowhere based in reality. Based on the Indians Mets trade, the Mets fleeced Cleveland for Lindor and Carrasco. Yeah, 3 to 5 player trades maybe, but like some of those 2 players for 6 for 7, they make no sense at all, Daily. There is no way Cashman would even consider giving up Dominguez, Trey Sweeney, and Austin Wells in the same trade for 2 years of Matt Olson, and adding Luke Voigt, and adding a couple of guys. That's like 25 years of team control for 2 years of Voigt. I mean, for 2 years of Olson and a pitcher who can't stay healthy. Why in the world would they ever do that? Why? That's what I'm talking about, Daily. That's why the simulator is not taking a human factor into this. It's not. That's pretty obvious. The Marlins will spend 2. I agree. If they got Olsen and brought in Seager, Emilio, I would be pretty pumped. But I hope they would still bring in a starting pitcher too, at least one. I've suggested 2, but if they bring at least one, and those guys, that would be a hell of an offseason. Tanaka, no, Jesse, I don't. Nah. I don't think Tanaka will be back in the majors, unfortunately. I think he would have been nice to have with the Yankees this year, but I don't think he'll be back in the minors. I mean, I would be surprised, I'd say. I would be surprised. But like a few things so just free agency. So just so you know, I mean, you probably know this, but free agency starts the day after the World Series. Now, the first 5 days after the World Series, it's an exclusive negotiating period for teams and their existing players. Anything after 5 days, then you can start talking to other players. Anything after 5 days, after the World Series, and you can qualifying offers become offered over the 5-day window, and then players have 10 days to either accept or decline the qualifying offers. That's kind of the criteria. Also, if a free agent declines a qualifying offer and signs with a new team, if the contract is $50 million or larger, then they have to give up a pick between the first round and the Comp A round. If it's small and $50 million, then the pick they have to give up is between the competitive balance round B, which is right after the second round. So that's kind of the protocol in terms of players and qualifying offers and stuff like that. No more do you have to give up your very top first round pick, which is a good thing. The more players adds, the worse the accuracy is. There's a lot of things it doesn't factor in. It's just like Aaron Judge's trade value in this thing is 34. Garrett Cole's is minus 111. Judge is minus 100 and something. I mean, like it's so whacked out. Like they had a trade where they're offering. I actually have it right here. They're offering, and this is considered a balanced trade according to this website. Okay, they are giving. Here we go. Jason Dominguez, Davey Garcia, Oswald Peraza, Clark Schmidt, and Luke Voigt for CJ Cron for the Rockies, their first baseman who's a little bit older, and German Marquez. No way would Cashman say yes to that. There's no way. Not even close. Not even close. Yeah, and they're using too much, too many of these analytic things. Like it's just way too, again, then a lot of the human factor I don't see it considered in there, because teams, when they feel like they want to play away, they overpay, or teams will be like, you know what, I want this guy and I can add a top prospect to it, or I want you to take this expensive player, and teams will be like, I'll take it, but you have to attach a top prospect. Like, they don't factor those types of things in, okay? And those types of things happen. So, and again, teams overpay when they feel like they're one guy away, and it doesn't consider any of this stuff in. That's why only to a certain degree do I believe this. And some of the most ridiculous trades I saw on there evened up on points. It's crazy. It's just crazy. So, and again, people are free to attack my trade ideas, but my trade ideas are based on need and fit and stuff like that. So, and as much as people hate my Aaron Judge trade ideas, this is common sense. I mean, they should make their biggest offer to him this offseason. If he says no, you move on, because I'm very confident in saying if he says no and he signs with the whoever, Cincinnati Reds or the Texas Rangers who want to spend big, he is not going to leave 50, 60, 70 million dollars on the table to give a hometown discount for the Yankees. I'll just tell you right now, it's not going to happen. He'll go, I've always wanted to play for Texas. I've always wanted to go play for the Cincinnati. He's going to do that. And that's what these interviews are saying for me. I want to stay here forever. Players do that to drive up the price on their current team. This is negotiating 101. And you can't blame him. He's going to be free agent. He knows it. And if he stays healthy again, he's going to get paid. So, and this is his right to do that. But these are things that so many people, I think, are not considering here. So, and it's unfortunate. But Emil, I would love if they got Matt Olson. I really would. I really, really would. Yeah, I don't think Kluber will be back, Alan. I mean, and Tyon's getting ankle surgery on the 28th of this month, so he's going to be out for a couple months too. And they need 2 starting pitchers, and I stand by that one. My trade video about the Mets tomorrow morning. Monday morning. Excuse me. Nothing coming out tomorrow. Monday morning. That's my Mets video, and then Tuesday is my top free agent shortstop targets for the Yankees. So those are my next 2 videos. Jack C, thank you again for your support. Dono hype, Dono love for Jack C, man. You're the man. I personally have 0 problem with Higgy as our starting catcher. Dusty Baker even says that his catcher is a field general, and he hits his opponent. Yeah, exactly. Higgy's a better defensive catcher than Sanchez. Sanchez has a cannon for an arm, but he can't block pitches. Dono hype and Dono love for Jaxie. Thank you again, bro. But you're right, man. And this is we need a catcher who can handle the starters and the relievers. And again, some starters in the team, like Cole didn't want to pitch to him, Sanchez. And at the end of the season, towards the end of the season, Kluber didn't want to pitch to him either. And then there's other teams that don't want the Yankees to trade Sanchez to them because the pitchers don't want to throw to him either. That's a huge red flag. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Yankees non-tendered him and saved $8 million. But I'm telling you now is one reason why the Yankees haven't traded for these big catchers, big catching prospects, because it's for one of those reasons. I mean, teams that don't want Sanchez to be traded to them are not going to give up those big catching prospects. And the Yankees do not have a clear, obvious replacement for Sanchez. I like Higgy, but I think he needs another Higgy to complement him well. And until they, find an obvious replacement, they're going to probably wind up keeping Sanchez. That's my guess. I hope I'm wrong, but that's my guess, Jack. But you make a good point, and thank you again, bro, for the dono. I appreciate that, man. Thinking of Jordan. What's good, man? Red Padres would have to throw in Tatis to make someone take Hosmer. That would be nuts. They would probably have to throw in a McKenny Gore or something like that, or CJ Abrams. So Abrams is like their top 2 or 3 prospects, but he's had some injury issues. But if you want to take Hosmer and that money, they're going to have to give something of value in return. So Tatis would be insane. But crazy things have happened. So, but yeah, I totally get what you're saying, Gerald. It makes a lot of sense. Catches are always expensive. Yes. Yep. And for good reason. Good reason, Dilly. Very high on Boston. Some will pick him up on a walk here and get. Yeah, Darryl. Yeah, I mean, so if they non-tender him, somebody to pick him up pretty quickly. I just don't think the Yankees can get a lot of value from him in a trade, unfortunately, and that's the problem. Rail, Clint Frazier. I like Clint Frazier and I like Miguel Andujar, but I think at this point, the Yankees' best option is to non-tender both of them and just save this $5-6 million. They don't have any trade value, unfortunately, and I hate saying it, but it's true. And I don't want them to hold other players back or block other players, particularly since January by November 19th, teams have to add players to their 40-man roster to protect them from the Rule 5 draft. So that's a big date. So that I can see them non-tendering a bunch of these guys and clearing them off the 40-man at this point because it's going to be necessary. And I just don't see Frazier and Andujar coming back to the big league team. So it's time to move on from them. And since they can't trade them, they might as well non-tender them and save the money. I hate saying it. I hope I'm wrong, but I think that's what's going to happen. Starting catcher on the Reds. Possible. I mean, Anthony, I'm sure 90% of our idea talks are useless because this season is going to be either delayed. I don't think the season is going to be suspended or there'll be a strike. I think it's going to be negotiated. It might be a slight delay in the negotiating, but they just lost billions this past year because of COVID. I don't think they're going to risk that again. It'll crush the sport. So I think they're very motivated to make this happen. The negotiations will be nasty and dirty like they always are, but I think they're motivated to get this done. Yeah, the Rays DFA Crone, and now he's over with the Rockies. Like, it is nuts. And the Yankees, let Garrett Whitlock go, and he's with the freaking Red Sox now. So, like, it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. But that's baseball, too. It's just, not protecting guys. Other teams pick them up, and your trash is someone else's treasure, unfortunately. I just wish that was the case with the Yankees more often. Like, somebody else's trash is the Yankees' treasure. I don't understand. Outside of the Dodgers, do you think the Astros or Braves have more talent than the Yankees? I don't think either one of them. They just run better and they play better. They perform better. They're more. I'll say this: they're a more balanced team than the Yankees. The Yankees are deficient in too many areas to actually beat the Braves or the Astros. Jordans. That's my opinion there. They have too much of this and too little of that, and they're just not built to beat them. But front end, high end talent, the Yankees are right up there with the best of them. But they still need a lot. They need starting pitching. They need contact hitters. They need obviously need a new shortstop and potentially new first baseman. Like, there's a lot of things that they need. A lot of things. Rays get Dom Smith and Drew Smith from the Mets for Joey Wendell. Intriguing. Dimes. It's intriguing. I got to think about that a little bit more. Alan, if they trade Judge to the Dodgers, they have to force Chapman on them as well. I don't know if they'd have to eat some contract. I don't know if you saw my trade recently with the Judge going to the Dodgers as a proposal, but I had them getting Bristol Gratterall and Dustin May and even Gavin Lux in return. And I think I added maybe Chad Green to that trade or something. If there's any way they can get something like that, that would be a huge blockbuster. And the Dodgers are one of the few teams who can actually re-sign him. They'll be cutting payroll this year and next year, so they're one of the few teams I can give him that type of deal. I would like the Yankees to get Olsen Christian. I really would. Suzuki kid, I've heard about him. I've heard he was pretty solid. And what position does he play, Anthony? I've heard about him recently. Actually, I don't remember what position he plays. Yankees lineup home run and strikeout derby. Yeah. Yankees need to get rid of all the strikeout. Frazier, Sanchez, and Voit. I think Voit. I don't know if they get a non-tender Voit. He's got 3 years of control left. They might get something out of him in a trade. Judge, like I've said, I know he's the face of the franchise, but this is the time to offer him their best extension. And if he says no, you move on, and that's it. Don't negotiate against themselves. Don't pay him $50 million more than you need to, and then block your ability to sign other guys. This is the New York Yankees, not the New York Aaron Judges. So There's a lot more things that he cannot do this alone, and they haven't won a World Series with him. So I wouldn't anoint him as the second god just yet. Great player, but there are better players out there. The Yankees are a few pieces away yet, and Timothy, you're right. It's got to be the right pieces as well, and that's the thing. I mean, it's got to be the right pieces. Eddie Rosario is going to. Oh my God, yeah, he'll get paid. So is Chris Taylor. Both of them are going to get paid. They've had a fantastic offseason. That 3 home run game by Taylor the other day he just keeps boosting his free agent value. So the return Didi at short, Starling Marte for center, since like Cashman is willing to go away. Sanchez. It sounds as if, there's no obvious replacement for Sanchez, and that's the problem. And since the Yankees have not drafted a catcher in the high rounds or developed them in the high levels of the system, this is one of the problems that they're in. That's why so many of my trades represent high-end catching in return, so that they can start to chip away at this problem. Okay, because they can't. Like Austin Wells is really appealing, but some of the Yankees people are saying he's not going to stick a catcher either. So, and who do they have at AAA who's an obvious replacement? They have nobody. So, and that's one of the problems. So, and this is where I think the Yankees are stuck. I think they really wanted Sanchez to pan out. It doesn't look like he is. So it's just unfortunate. Luke Voigt and Gleyber Torres to the Reds for Castillo and Votto. Votto's pretty expensive, Lorenzo. I mean, he's still a pretty good hitter, but Cincinnati would have to eat a chunk of that money because Voigt and Gleyber Torres are on the cheap, and the Yankees would be assuming 2, pricey contracted players in return. So if the Reds eat a chunk of that, I would consider it, Lorenzo. But I still, nobody's ahead of Olsen right now for first base, in my opinion. What Judge slander? What Judge slander? Seager, maybe a trade for Jose from Cleveland. Jose Ramirez from Cleveland, it's going to cost a haul. He's a lot. He's a great player. He's a superstar. He is a superstar. I don't trust Ray or Rodon or any pressure. Yeah, I mean, it's, playing in Chicago and playing in Toronto is definitely different than playing in New York, thinking of Jordans. I mean, that's for sure. Wilson, I would like a Wilson Contreras trade from the Cubs. I think he's a better option than Gary Sanchez is because he can handle a pitching staff much better. Nobody said it was the problem of the team, Nick Talks Flex. Nobody said that, but he's about to become really expensive. And this is not signing a 26-year-old, 27-year-old to a 10-year deal. This is signing a 31-year-old to a 10-year deal. And just so that we know, what contract would you offer him? And like I said, make your best offer this offseason. If he says no, he's going to go where the money is, and he's going to get more money than that. I'm not going to negotiate against ourselves. That'd be stupid. We really would. But what contract would you offer him? Anthony, thank you so much. Dono hype, Dono love for Anthony, man. Thanks for answering questions about doing these lives. It's a pleasure. That's what I'm here to interact with you guys. I mean, we're part of the Yankee family here. So I try to answer as many as I possibly can. I'm not here just to answer donos. I want to answer and interact with all you guys. And I appreciate all the donos, obviously. So, I think the Braves are going to close it out today. I really do. Starling Marte, probably a 3-year deal at $60 million, something like that, Daryl. Maybe 3-year deal at $75 million, $20 to $25 million per year. And he'd be worth it. So 7 years, $270 million. That's almost just short of $40 million a year. I wouldn't do that. Seager would be nice. Greg Allen, LaCastro, Aaron Hicks, and center. I would like Allen personally to lead off because he's a speedy guy, and then he gets on base switch here. He does some things, and I'll let the other guys drive them in. I think Hicks is a candidate to be moved if he deems to be healthy, but until he does that, he should be playing winter ball, in my opinion, to kind of get back into the groove. But I don't know if he's going to do that. Andrew Heaney, definitely bring him back. Give him a 10-year deal. Give him a Judge type deal. Samuel. Wells is doing very good in the AF. Yeah, I hopefully continues to do that and increases his value as prospect. So I really do. Contreras is 30. Yeah, his last year wants a mega deal. Me can bring him in and give him a qualifying offer next year and let somebody else give him a mega deal. I mean, you could, unless you. I mean, it depends on what kind of mega deal he's talking about. Like, mega deals for him is definitely different than a mega deal for Judge. And again, if Judge were 26 or 27, it's easier to justify 7 years, 270, not at 31. Again, it's just my opinion. You're entitled to yours, but that puts Yankee payroll at 250, 260. And you have an exactly. And again, keep in mind, we've already got 5 years of Judge's prime. Okay, you're going to give him a 7-year deal. You're probably going to get maybe 3 more good years, and you're going to get 4 significant decline years. And do you really want to pay for almost $40 million a year for significant decline years? I don't think that's prudent business at this point, especially with the way the Yankees don't like to spend. And people are complaining about Stanton's contract, which is going to be almost half of what Judge is. Just keep that in mind too. And their production is pretty similar since the years that they've both been here. That's weird, Brian. Everybody else can hear me okay? Can everybody else hear me okay? My off-season prediction for the Yankees. I actually did a video on it, Takanacho. Take a look down below in the description. You'll see my video. I did a video on what I think the Yankees should do and a video on my prediction for the Yankees. And I don't want you to miss out on it. So watch it and come back and let me know what you think. Nestor Cortez starting rotation. Maybe. Depends on who they get this offseason, Jesse. I think he'll be more suited for the bullpen. Him, Herman, and Severino, in my opinion, should start the season in the bullpen. We need some multiple inning guys. So, good. The Dodgers are going to serve good. How much would I offer Noah Syndergaard? It really depends, Gerald. I think he's going to get offered a qualifying offer, and I think if they offer him, I think he'll probably accept it. I think he'll accept it. I think Michael Conforto will probably accept it. If they reject it, then you have to give them at least $19 million plus per year over a multiple year deal. And that's, I think, to me, is the only reason they would turn down a qualifying offer. So if I had to go between Syndergaard and Verlander at this point, I'd go for Verlander. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. So Brian Buxton, 27 years old. Yeah, he still has a year left, I think, before he's a free agent. Personally, I go for Starling Marte at this point. There's been too much injuries and stuff surrounding Buxton. Starling Marte steals 40 bases a year. He's a contact hitter. He's an elite outfielder. I go for that at this point. And Buxton now will get more than $80 million on a 7-year deal if he plays well. He'll get a lot more. So, and again, rightfully so. He's young. I have my MLB free agent prediction video coming out this week, Miguel. My top 50 free agents are going to be out. So, and this is the thing too, Ernie. So you make a good point with Judge. The overwhelming majority of Aaron Judge's home runs are solo shots. Okay. And again, his stats are not that different, except for a little bit higher batting average than Stanton's is. So. How did they put themselves in the corner with Stanton? If Marlins are eating a chunk of his money, and Cole, they had to get him. So how could they put themselves in a hole with them, but not put themselves in a hole for Judge, who's going to make more per season than either one of these guys, according to your contract? And again, once in a generation, he's been healthy. Honestly, he's been healthy half of his career, 2.5 out of 5 years. So this isn't like Fernando Tatis or Vlad Guerrero Jr. It's too early to say that's once in a generation. He's got to give us 5 or 6 or 7 consecutive, good years. Like a Jacob deGrom, he's a once in a generation talent. But again, injury prone. Like you just said, Buxton. Judge gets hurt too, unfortunately, but it's the truth. I don't like saying it, but it's true. Yeah, Ricky, right now it sounds as if they don't have an obvious replacement for Sanchez, and he's kind of being, kind of dancing around and being politically correct or something like that, Cash. I don't think they move Sanchez because there's no replacement that's obvious for him, especially in free agency. They're all older. None of them represent an upgrade. So, and they should have brought in some high-end catchers in the drafts recently, but they have not. No, they haven't, unfortunately. Starling Marte can get 100 for 4. I could see that. I could see that. So I could definitely see that. Harrison Bader, I could see that too. From St. Louis? I could see that too. I could definitely see that. Aaron Judge, and yeah, I mean, they were both offensive MVPs this year for the Yankees, Jesse. No doubt about it. They were both fantastic. And Brian Reynolds has been my #1 trade target this whole entire year. And I would do whatever it took to get him. I really would. Craig, I'm rooting for the Braves. The Braves, I want them to win. Is anybody else frozen? I'm good over here. I'm not frozen at all. Could be a connection on your end, Jared. Everybody else good? Luke Voigt and Gleyber Torres to Washington for Josh Bell and Steven Strasburg. I wouldn't take Strasburg now, Lorenzo. It looks like he's going to have some serious injury problems moving forward, and he's got a lot of money left on that deal. So I would avoid Strasburg at all costs, Lorenzo. I would take Patrick Corbin, but not Strasburg. Corbin I would take. It's lefty. He's got some years left too. I think he's got maybe 3 or 4 years left on his contract, but he's a hell of a lot cheaper than Strasburg, and he's more durable, that's for sure. It's not, I don't think they put themselves in the corner, Nick Talks. It's the timing. Judge is going to be 31, and that's one of the problems. You give a deal like that to a guy who's 27. Cole was 28 when they gave it to him, or approaching 29. Stanton they acquired in a trade, obviously, but that's one of the big problems here. It's much tougher to justify giving $270 million to a 31-year-old than it is a younger guy. Like if Correa gets $270 million, I could see it. He's 27. He's not 31. That's a huge difference. Like, Lindor was 26 when the Mets acquired him. I could see it. So those types of things happen. It's his age working against him here, Nick. He's a big dude. I hope that he stays healthy and productive and he stays here. I'm totally fine with him. His age is working against him. This is one of the problems with like the Yankees and developing players is they keep prospects until they're like in their mid to late 20s. They don't let kids come up when they're 20. Like, I don't understand that logic, and I think it works against them in a lot of situations, like with Judge. Some of these things are self-inflicted. So, and it's unfortunate. Samuel Dwight. Oakland won't rebuild. They just reshuffle. They don't pay their guys who become free agencies that get expensive. They just keep – it's a recycling thing. A year or two left, they trade him for more guys, ride those guys for a year. They develop players really well, and then they trade them and recycle. They just don't have the finances that they allocate and dedicate for these things. So I don't think Oakland ever rebuilds. They just constantly reshuffle. That's kind of their business model. But again, when's the last time they won the World Series? Almost 40 years. So about 35 years, something like that. Might be time to be a little bit more aggressive with the spending, investing in their product. So with Cashman saying Torres is permanent, yeah, he's likely permanent at second, but I don't always believe everything that Cashman says is gospel either. So he's going to be the second baseman this year at the very least, at the very start. But if you see the opportunity to get a Matt Olson and they want Torres, I could see him moving Torres because they have guys that they could plug in at second base to replace him, to get somebody like Matt Olson for first base. Alan, I appreciate it, dude. Yeah, I mean, to me, like I said, the reason why I have so many catches in trades because it's an obvious fit. Look who we're constantly talking about. The Yankees, Gary Sanchez, catcher. They don't have an obvious replacement. Kyle Higashioka, unfortunately, at this point, is not a starter. I like him as a backup, but I'd rather have a Wilson Contreras over Sanchez, but they're going to have to trade me. And this is what I mean. You have to trade for him. He's got 1 year left. Like, where are the draft picks in the second round, first, second, third? Like, Anthony Sigler's not going to be a catcher moving forward. So, and this is the unfortunate thing. I think the Yankees should draft a catcher in one catcher through rounds 1 through 5 and 1 through round 6 through 10 every draft or every other draft. They need to boost their pipeline in terms of catching prospects, especially in AA and AAA where they don't really have the depth. And it's unfortunate because then they have more opportunities to have catchers come up through the system that can solve a situation like that they're in now, that they put themselves in with Sanchez. I know they thought Sanchez was the long-term guy, but it's pretty clear he's plateaued. So, and I think they're struggling to find a replacement for him, so they're going to be forced to keep him. And again, his bat is he's got a great elite potential bat, but he's very inconsistent. He has lazy spells, unfocused, and he's very suspect defensively behind the plate. And some pitchers don't want to pitch to him. That's a problem. So it's something I hate admitting, but it's true. The Nats dug them. Yeah, I mean, that Strasburg deal really hamstrung them, man. That's a big contract. That was bigger than more than they gave Max Scherzer. So more than they gave Max Scherzer. Good. We're good, Jared? Good. I'm glad you're back on here. I think their reason for rehiring Boone, Jared, in my opinion, is because there wasn't an obvious replacement. Some of the guys, like the more experienced guys like Buck Showalter and Mike Scioscia and Bruce Bochy, they're not going to sit here and be kind of a yes guy for Brian Cashman or Hal Steinbrenner. These guys are older. They're going to want to run the team their way. They're going to want to bring their people, and I think they'll be limited in their ability to do that, which is probably why they wouldn't even take an interview here, in my opinion. So I don't think any of them would be a fit. It would be really, really hard. And Boone embraces what they want them to embrace, and whereas Girardi did not. So I think that's the main reason. So, and I agree with you too, Nick. It also bothers me. The front office doesn't bring up the young guys sooner. You're absolutely right. Give the kids a chance. If it doesn't pan out, you move on. But what the hell's the point of having this minor league system if you're not going to develop your kids and give them a chance? No, it's just Cabrera, Peraza, and Volpe, 3 studs that should be getting opportunities in the next year or two. Should be. So Trey Sweeney, too. I hope he develops and pans out. I hope Jason Dominguez pans out, too. It looks like they're all trending that way. So, and this is the first time that they had this many high-end guys in a while. No. Ke'Bryan Hayes for third base. It would cost a haul for the Pittsburgh to give him up. But I don't know. I mean, they have Gio. I mean, the all-time ridiculous, insane blockbuster would be Ke'Bryan Hayes and Brian Reynolds for just a boatload of players. That would be the blockbuster of all blockbusters, Frankie. Like Brian Hayes is a young, dynamic player, but it's going to cost a boatload to get him. Just like Brian Reynolds is going to cost a boatload to get him too, if they're made available. But if somebody calls them and gives them an offer they can't refuse, Vito Corleone style, I could see them taking it. Because Brian Hayes and Brian Reynolds are 2 players. They get 8 or 10 guys in return. I could see them seriously considering that. I really could. The cost is going to be ridiculous, Anthony. You're absolutely right. For agency, it's just going to be, it keeps going up. And that's one thing that, they're never going to negotiate it with, like a cap that the MLB union is going to accept. Like, they're not going to do that. Because it's unlimited. And I get, like, the players are the ones that are, out there on the field. People go to see the players. People don't care about, I want to see the GM. I want to see the owner. Nobody gives a crap about them. They want to see the players. Like, I don't see anybody with a Brian Cashman jersey on. You know what I mean? So, or Randy Levine jersey on. Like, nobody cares. So, but the players should be the ones making the money. But at some point, like, the salaries are insane. And what bothers me if somebody takes just like a shorter, less money deal, and the rest of the league gets angry with him because he doesn't want to keep shooting the salaries through the roof. That's the one thing that bothers me. Let players take what they want to take. If it's a lower deal and they're happy there, let them be happy with their family. That's it. It's not like we need to set a new market. We need $50 million a year players. This isn't the NBA where they cap it at 4 years and you can get $50 million for those 4 years. This is 8, 10, 12, 13-year deals. This is a huge difference. And that's one reason. That's one way that I like the NBA model: 4-year minimum, 4-year caps on the amount of years, but at a boatload of money. That to me, I think is fantastic. And I do think Gary will be the starting catcher too, Miguel, unless unforeseen trade happens or something. I could see it happening too. And Gerald, I'm with you. I think he's about the money's flowing hand and foot, and I think Hal's trying to maximize profits and revenues for the Yankees. So that's why I see Gary staying as the catcher. I don't think they have the balls to move him. Olson's not fast, but that's okay. I mean, he's faster than Voit. Voigt's slow. But again, we don't bring in Olson for speed. That's why we have Greg Allen and Tim LeCastro and Tyler Wade. Let him drive in those guys. You know what I mean? And he's an elite defender. So, and Rizzo can't run at all. So he's faster than Voit and Rizzo. So, we still get a little bit more athletic. He's an upgrade over those lumbering guys. But again, he's a better hitter. He's a better overall first baseman and both of them. So the improvement there, he's going to make a lot of other players better. And you put him in that lineup in between, if Judge is here and Stanton, like you put him in that lineup between those guys, that's going to be a murder three right there. Like, pitchers. We want to get to the point where pitchers are like, damn it, I got to face the Yankees on Tuesday. Oh, God. I got to face them on Saturday. Oh, God. And they're not there right now. We need pitchers to absolutely dread coming to pitch against the Yankees. That's what we need. We're not there. The lineups that they won, where they won championships, were relentless, and they would not stop. And they had a combination of really good role players and some superstars. Like, that's when they were at their best. But like, you couldn't get through these guys. And like guys like Scott Brocious, not a sexy name, but he killed you in the clutch. Killed you. Homer Bush stealing bases everywhere. Luis Sojo, not sexy, but got clutch hits all across all the time. Those are the types of guys that the Yankees need here. Winning mentality, always. Bulldogs, gamers, feisty-ass people. David Wells was, he's not Sandy Koufax, but he was a gamer, had a rubber arm. He was a brawler. Like, love David Wells. I have a Wells jersey. Yeah, Nick. Yeah, they have a ton of young, like, guys up the middle, shortstop, center field, second base. Like, and some of these guys can play short or second, like Volpe and Oswaldo Cabrera, Oswald Peraza. They're versatile. And this is one of the skill sets. And I said this before, that when the Yankees draft players and they only play one position, it would be a good idea to teach them a second position. It makes them more valuable. And guys like Chris Bryant plays, third base or first base and outfield. Value. And if you can play a second position, it makes it easier for you to progress through a minor league system and even get onto a major league team, because your versatility offers a lot more than your lack of versatility. I wish they did it more. Yeah, that's a good point, Alan, too. Stanton 297 in the postseason. Stanton's money with the Yankees in the postseason, man. Absolute money. Well, Ryan Reynolds would be Nick. He was my first, my number one trade target. I mean, if there was any way they got Reynolds and Olsen, I would be ecstatic. Beyond ecstatic. And if they got Olsen, Reynolds, and a pitcher like Robbie Ray, I would be just on the moon. On the moon. Rumors, players and some owners targeting a payroll floor. Yeah, I heard that. They're talking about the MLB association, whatever it is and owners are targeting $100 million floor, which to me is reasonable, because you have certain teams who just won't spend the money. And I don't want to see teams investing in, luxury boxes that they can't fill. Invest in your team, make it more competitive. So, but the union apparently is very resistant to that. That's what I'm hearing. So that's going to be part of the CBA negotiations. What's going to make it really interesting. So, but yeah, I mean, that's going to be an interesting one, Anthony. I know that's part of their negotiations this fall. So, the current CBA ends December 2nd, and then you have like the winter meetings is a week after that. So a lot of things are going to happen in a short period of time. But don't be surprised if free agency at the very least drags on until that stuff is agreed upon, so that teams know if there's universal DH, then it's a different philosophy in terms of who you want to trade for and sign. So I expect a lot of the big dogs to still be on the board come January and even February because of that, negotiating process until it's resolved. Sterling Waldman. I like Meredith Marakovich too. Craig, hell yeah, man. Let's go Braves. Hell yeah. Yeah, man, it's just exactly Jeffrey. Exactly Gerald. I mean, yeah, Sterling is getting up to it now in age too, man. But these guys are putting a lot of time. I'm gonna miss Ken Singleton. I'm gonna miss him. He was great. Let's see. Sterling. Yeah, I mean, I think he's doing half, right? Is that right? I think he's doing half the season now. Chances I'm right now, Frankie. I'm like 50-50, but leaning on the side of them not getting him, Matt Olson. And you know it's going to take a lot, but the Yankees have the pieces to get him. And again, they're not in the business of paying their players. Oakland, and if the Yankees can give them several controllable players that address some needs, I could see a trade being put together. I've said this too. I would love to for like Matt Olson and Sean Manaea to be packaged because Manaea's got one more year until he's a free agent too. You add him to the rotation. You add Olson to first base. It's a bigger, more appropriate need fit trade for the Yankees. Well, Nick, if you didn't see my predictions, you're spot on there. My predictions that they would go for Andrelton Simmons, but that was also before Cashman said that they were going to be serious about addressing shortstop. Personally, bringing in Andrelton Simmons, with the offensive issues the Yankees have, I don't see them as a serious attempt now. It'll show us they're not really serious. So I'm hoping that Corey Seager or Chris Taylor or even Marcus Semien are the guys that they bring in. Correa would be the sexy pick, but he's going to cost a boatload. But again, he's clutch. He's money in the postseason. Money and an elite defender. Wallman will be around for a little bit. Michael Kay is going to be around. Rakovitz will be around. So I'm curious to see. I mean, they got Cohen. They got these other guys too. So Paul O'Neill hopping in there. So it's fun. It's fun watching these folks. I think they'll hit Jesse. I think they'll hit better in 2022 as well. I think they'll make some moves commensurate with that will assure that they hit better in 2022. And again, they still had a lot of injuries. Luke Voigt has way too many injuries. There were too many, people being out for COVID. Like there was just way too many things that worked against them this year. Hoping that'll be better next year. So, Paul Joe Broadway, nice. Pal Joe. Broadway play from the 50s. Love it. Love it. Not Jesse. As long as Boone is manager, I hope we're wrong on that, Jared. I really do. But Boone to me wasn't the bigger problem and Cashman was. So, but since they're both here now, they got to surround them with better coaches and better players. And I hope he delivers. I really do. Exactly, Gerald. The revenue sharing, but the Yankees give most of the revenue sharing, and they're giving them to these small market teams. And what are they doing? They're not investing in players. That's what frustrates me. Why are the Yankees just handing over money to these players, to these teams that aren't investing in their team? That drives me nuts. Exactly, lining their pocket. I hate that. And these rich franchises who just keep a low payroll and pocket the money. I can't stand that. The Rangers, I think they're gonna get a couple guys. I mean, I keep an eye out for certain guys. I mean, they may make a huge offer for Carlos Correa. I think they're going to get one big offensive player and one big pitcher, I think. But I don't know how many people want to play in Texas right now. So they might have to do it incrementally. We got a couple of moderate players and stuff like that. So I have a couple of my players in my predictions video this week that are going to Texas. So stand by. It's coming. It's coming. If the universal DH becomes a reality, Voigt's trade 100%, 1,000%, bro. Voigt's trade value increases. So do a lot of other players. And this is like, you have players even on other teams. Jose Abreu from the White Sox. Like you have guys that are big dudes playing first base right now who would be better fits at DH. And then you have 15 more teams that become available right off the bat that'll be interested in players like that. I mean, you can move Abreu to DH, you can move Voigt to DH, but I think it'd be at that point. And you have teams like the Marlins who have a boatload of prospect capital to give in return for somebody like that. And you can make, package trades. So you could see Voigt DHing in Milwaukee, padding him to that lineup, or Abreu DHing in Milwaukee if he doesn't stay in Chicago. But like you have guys like that are just, they could be good fits on other teams. So there's no doubt about it, Darryl. I mean, Olson's not fast, but that's why they need to utilize guys like Tyler Wade and Greg Allen and LeCastro. They need to use their speed guys. They do. So, and again, Greg Allen would be my starting center fielder. The only way Greg Allen's not my starting center fielder is if the Yankees somehow move to Aaron Judge and bring in Starling Marte. He can even be the starting center fielder, and Marte can be the right fielder. But I would like for him to be the starting center fielder and have him lead off. I would. So because you need guys at the top, and I would not have DJ leading off. DJ would be batting second. Judge would be batting third. So DJ was much better batting second for the Yankees. Much better. But that's kind of how I would do it. Gleyber, Voit, Urshela, Gallo, Green for Olsen. That's a big haul. And Chapman, Sanchez, Yoendry for Contreras. I'm not sure they're going to have to eat some contract. We'd have to eat some contract. Theoretically, I think. I mean, I don't know if they'll have to give up that much, Ricky, for Olsen. And Olsen and Chapman. Oh, excuse me, I read it wrong. Gleyber, Voit, Urshela, Gallo, Green. For Olsen and Chapman, that I would do. Sanchez, Yoendry for Contreras. And I'd probably do that too. Sign Correa. Yeah, at that point you sign. I mean, at that point you go after a Correa because you just cleared up a lot of, but they're absorbing salary too at Olsen and Chapman. So, but at the same time, if you add Olsen and Chapman and you somehow sign Correa, I mean, the amount of offense and clutch hitting you just added to the lineup is just completely insane. Completely insane. Olsen and Matt Chapman. Yeah, I mean, personally, I would add Olsen and Sean Manaea if I could, but I would go Olsen solo in a trade too. Yeah, I'm with you there, Alan, too. Yeah, devalue the market. Yeah, he needs to do. He has to have a little Scott Boras in him now and sell. Market them as if they're the second coming of Mickey Mantle. Flyer on a 1 year. I would do it in a heartbeat. Well, it's so Nick. So if he gets the qualifying offer and he turns it down, then that 1 year deal is probably going to have to come with an option for a second year, and it's probably going to have to be $20 million per year in order to get Verlander to make it justifiable for him. I think if he turns down the qualifying offer, he knows he's going to get more than that in free agency. So, but I would do it only because I think he would make Cole better. He would push Garrett Cole. I would do it, Nick. Yeah, John Heyman does think they're going to get Ray and Seager. Sherman thinks they would not. I don't know why they would not target a big starting pitcher. They'd be fools to not do it. But you're right. I mean, everybody has these different viewpoints. But one expert thinks this, one expert thinks that. Like beat writers think they're all over the place. But at the end of the day, I think it'll be a balance of aggressive and moderate moves for the Yankees. But I hope it's more aggressive than less aggressive. Exactly, Gerald. Small market teams should be reinvesting their free money from the big market teams into players to try to get better. So, Lewis, I like Ketel Marte too. If you're going to do a move for Marte, I would try to go for a Marte and Zach Gallen pairing. It'd be a nice blockbuster trade. That's what I would do. But I mean, we might be able to prime Marte. He's going to cost a lot though. And he's got a little bit of injury issues with his legs, so that'd be one red flag. I think the Rays. Yeah, I mean, don't be surprised, Dimes. I think the Rays are going to wind up getting. They might get a Ketel Marte. They might get somebody like that. I would not be surprised at all. And actually, in my predictions here, I have the Rays getting a couple impact players. So until they win the World Series, they're going to keep going for it, making moves, being aggressive. Can Whit Merrifield? I don't know, James. I know he's played second. Now he's playing outfield now. So I don't know. It's a good question. I like Whit because he also steals bases. And we have a lot of Yankees who don't do that. And the guys that do steal bases aren't starting. Wade and LaCastro and we're not starting. So their fastest guys are either not up here or ride the bench when they're up here. So it doesn't make any sense to me. Stanton should be playing outfield more. He definitely plays better. He plays better. And that's DH spot should be rotated between a bunch of guys, in my opinion. So I'm with you there, Alan. Bellinger, I don't know, Joe. I mean, probably. Void for Hauser of the Brewers. If you can get a controllable starting pitcher for Voit, that's not an absolute disaster. I mean, that's a good trade. It's a fair trade at this point for Luke Voigtnick. I've always said if you're going to move him or Gleyber Torres, it should be for a controllable starting pitcher. Very best offer for Bellinger. At this point, I don't make an offer for Bellinger unless they move Gallo. Which I don't think they're going to do because there's no fit for Bellinger right now in the outfield. But man, probably that's a good question, Joe. Let me think about that one too. My best offer for him. That's a good question. Give me a few, Gerald. Yep, the Rangers, Tigers, Mariners are going to spend. Yep. Greg Allen, I think he's 28. I think he can be, even if he's a stopgap center fielder for the Yankees, Todd on New York, I think he should get a shot. And again, you can alternate. He plays multiple positions, and you have other guys out there that could, Tim LeCastro play, and you have these other guys who can play too. So, but they acquired him and they didn't utilize him. And when he was up here, he played extremely well. So I would try and take advantage of it. You can even alternate him and Hicks if they keep Hicks. So, and he's a solid contact hitter. He runs bases well too. So he does a lot of the little things. So at the very least, I would have him up here. I mean, obviously he's going to have to make it in spring training. If he doesn't, then that's on him. So, good contact hitters out there. Chris Taylor from the Dodgers. It's quite a few. I'm gonna go back and look at my free agents list, but he's one that stands out to me. Then he's a guy that I would target for the Yankees. I would. I have to go back and look at my list here, Jared. Torres is definitely better at second base. DJ hits best statistically. Well, yeah, the best bets get the most at bats. I personally would still bat him second, though. But it depends on who's leading off. Depends on who. And I do think, Gerald, that Correa will get $350 million. I do. Who do I like more, Monty or Manaea? Well, right now Monty because he's with the Yankees, and he's got a couple years left. But I'd like. Well, you know what I would like better than Monty or Manaea is Monty and Manaea. Ricky, that to me is better, nicer. If the Yankees sign Correa or Seager, then it's goodbye Judge. Can't afford both of them. Yeah, probably, Gerald. This is one reason why I think the Yankees should again make their best offer to Judge and feel him out, see whether he's willing to stay or not. And he's going to get 200. 200 is going to be his ceiling. I mean, his floor. His floor anywhere he goes. So right off the bat, just know you're going to have to spend at least $200 million. K-Tel's more talented than Starling Marte, but Starling Marte doesn't have injury issues like K-Tel. So at this point, if I want consistency, I go after Starling. But K-Tel has, to me, is a more versatile, more talented player. But either one I would be fine with. Qualifying offer for Orlando, I wouldn't be surprised at all. So, and if he turns it down, then Astros will get a pick. So, I heard Kate Upton likes New York. So if he came to the Yankees, I'd be pretty cool with that saying. And if he did come here, I'd probably give him a 2-year deal or a year deal with a second-year option, something like that. Starling Marte is a money hitter. He's clutch. He's a clutch hitter, Darryl. He really does. He really does. And again, I like that he steals 40 bases a year. That's a big boost to the Yankees that they don't do now. So, Bellinger can play first base. Yeah, he's a late defender. Yeah. He just, he's had down year due to injuries, and I know it's damaged his trade value. But if you can get him on a decent deal, you can make it work for Cody Bellinger. You can definitely make it work. Yeah, Nick talks. I mean, I'm of a similar mindset. If they don't, make a move here, you move Hicks if you can. and give the young kids a chance. I mean, there's no reason why you can't give Allen a chance and Florial and LeCastro. There's no reason. I mean, those guys bring a lot of energy to the team. So, and that's the thing too. An on-base machine, guys that get on base, and then you have the other hitters who can. And guys like this are the difference between, if they're at first base, and I said this too recently, if somebody hits a double, these guys score. If you have somebody like, Rizzo or these other guys on first base, they go to third base. That's the difference between scoring a run and not scoring a run. So, and that makes a difference. It really does. Gallo and Bellinger are the same. Yeah. Bellinger seems to be a little bit more of a clutch hitter. And then again, he's had more postseason opportunities. So, but the Yankees definitely need clutch hitting. If I could only fit 2 needs, what would it mean to? My main 2 would be getting a starting pitcher. And probably a first baseman, because we have fits in the system right now that could accommodate shortstop. Because then that would be essentially filling 3, in my opinion, instead of a starting pitcher and shortstop, and making it harder to bring in a first baseman. So I'm probably starting pitching at first base because we have in-house options that we can utilize for short. Cristiano does strike out, but he's also an on-base machine. He's a clutch hitter, a good contact guy. Plays multiple positions. I like versatility. Voit and Torres for Contreras and Cal Hendricks. It'll probably cost a little bit more than that for the Yankees, but that's something I would consider as well. That's something Todd on New York. 6 years and $200 million, I would sign up for, but I don't think Judge is going to get less than probably 8 years and probably $240 million or something like that. That'd be my guess. But who knows? But I do think $200 million is his floor, the absolute floor for him. So the bases were a little bit larger, yes, daily, but keep in mind too, they're showing aggressiveness on the base paths, and that's an intangible. And again, they didn't double the size of the bases, so it's not like it made that much of a difference. Okay, they increased the sizes, yes, but the players are being aggressive, and that's something that we need more in the Yankees in the Bronx. So, but I get the bases being larger, but again, they're not double the size. So, they're slightly different, yes, but again, they're being more aggressive on the base paths. All in all, and the Yankees need to adopt some of that. So, Gil, Florial, Allen, Peraza. I agree. Nick talks. I agree. Those guys would be nice on the roster, man. They really would. They really, really would. Some young, fresh, hungry blood in this lineup would be great. How far off do I think the Yankees are from getting to the World Series? Hola. Not far, but there has to be the right moves, and some of the guys that they already have to play better. So, and that's where I think they need to bring in some good coaches. And they need to stay healthy, obviously, but not that far, in all honesty, Ola. Not that far. And the spending, I mean, it's the thing. So he can spend a lot, or he can spend wisely. And, it's making the right moves, because even people that spend the boatload, it doesn't always pan out. So, and that's the thing. He's got to make the right moves and bring the right guys in. And he doesn't always address the holes the way that they should be addressed, and that's unfortunate too. And sometimes it's because he waits too long, and the guys that he should go after are already with another team. So I hope that he's more aggressive early on this offseason, if that makes sense. Will the Dodgers get a pick after the second round if they lose Seager? It depends on if they give him a qualifying offer, which they probably will. They'll get not after this. I think Seager's definitely going to sign for more than $50 million. So their pick would be between the first round and that competitive A. So that'd be before the second round, like in between the first and second. Seager's definitely going to make more than $50 million. So, but that's if he turns down the qualifying offer, which I'm confident he will. And they might offer Chris Taylor a qualifying offer too. If he moves elsewhere, now they get 2 pretty high draft picks. And this is like, again, another benefit for the Dodgers. High draft picks on a team that is already stacked with them. No. Smart. I would target Noah Syndergaard if he was not given a qualifying offer. Like if he got one and did not turn it down, or if he got one and turned it down, I would probably avoid him because he's going to cost at least $20 million per year at that point. I just don't know. I'm not sure. Judge, I have the last 2 years. I've seen most Yankee fans did not see the same Judge as I have the last 2 years. And well, I've seen the same thing, Aaron. I've said it too. He's not come up in the clutch as much as people think he has. He strikes out a lot. He's into a lot of double plays. You know, he's had some big clutch hits this year. Don't get me wrong, Ernie, but nothing that tells me that he's a generational talent. People are calling him Jeter 2.0. It's like Jeter is a first ballot Hall of Famer, almost unanimous. Can't compare him to Jeter. It's not fair. At this point, it's not fair. So just like people saying Jacob deGrom should be in the Hall of Fame, you need to give another 3, 4, 5 years of that dominance to get considered for the Hall of Fame. 3 years of absolute dominance is not Hall of Fame worthy. There's no way. But it's Hall of Fame quality, yeah, but he has to do it for longer. No. Any team that made it to the post, exactly, is not far away from the World Series. That's a good point, too. No, well, just hang in there. I don't think the Yankees are that far away. I mean, I think we have reason to be encouraged. So, I do. Yeah, that's Jared. I don't know what my cat's doing. I don't know what he's doing. He's out there making some kind of noise. No, she was just she was just in here for a few minutes and then she left. She came into my room, took a dump, and then left. So 6 outs away for the Braves. Unbelievable. So the Astros would get a pick after the first if they lose Correa. Yes. Yes, right after the first. That competitive round between the first and second is where the draft pick would be. Yeah. And we already know Correa is going to sign for more than $50 million. Huh. Imagine he loses 10 players, but we'll have qualifying. Exactly, Daly. I mean, the Yankees could have a couple next year. If they keep their guys and give them all qualifying offers, they could have 2 or 3 next year. 10 of them would be completely insane. Tim LaCastro is fast. So he was the fastest guy in baseball before he went down with his ACL. But I would like to have both of them somehow. They would just cause chaos on the base paths. Absolute chaos. You know what I mean? Those are the types that we need that. So, I mean, Jacob deGrom he's filthy. He unfortunately now I think he's going to be a limited version of what he is before because of the injuries that he's had. And he kept having setbacks with his injuries, and they were permeating around his pitching arm. So that's a worry. That's a concern. Andrew Velasquez should start. I don't know about starting. I don't know about that, Jeffrey. He's had a small sample size. I think he'd be a decent backup here, but starting, I wouldn't go that far yet. But I did hear that on the Michael Kay show too, and I think it's a little far-fetched at this point. And I wouldn't start him over Tyler Wade. I wouldn't start him over Oswald Peraza. I wouldn't do that. Not yet. So Velasquez is a good kid. He brings energy and stuff like that. And he's had some nice hits, but he's not ready to be starting shortstop for the Yankees. Not yet. So managers do pull the pitcher weight. Yeah, I mean, you don't see many pitchers with 200-plus innings anymore. No. But I mean, believe me, if deGrom did not exercise, like if he was a free agent, a lot of teams would be lining up for him. Big trade this offseason, Jonathan, and that would be really nice if they did. Really nice. If you could trade for Olsen, then you could have Judge, Olsen, and Gallo all having qualifying offers. Yeah, exactly. But remember, Olsen wouldn't get his until the year after. Olsen has 2 years of team control, so he would get his in 2023. Judge and Gallo would get theirs in 2022. So, but that's still 3 qualifying offers. So, yeah, that's still good. Yeah, Gerald. I mean, DeGrom's record is not good, but his run support's been terrible. Like, he's a guy that can go 8-14 and have a 1.6 ERA. Like he just, he loses so many 1-0 games because the friggin' Mets don't score for him. Like, and it's unfortunate. Like if you had him on a better team, he would probably be winning 20 games almost every year. So I will give him that. It's fun to watch, but he does. Yeah, he does. He throws ridiculously hard. Anthony, I do think Correa will be worth whatever money he gets. No doubt about it. And I could see Steven Ridings just in the bullpen in 2022. Yep, add him and Clay Holmes, like a couple young dynamic arms. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could see him in there. No. Yeah, exactly, Daily Dose. And DeGrom does not get much run support. He doesn't, unfortunately. I'm very excited for this offseason, too. I hope we make a big trade and a couple of big signings. That would be fantastic. And I'm going to keep you guys updated all throughout the offseason. So, I would take 5 innings of DeGrom, though, any day of the week. 5 dominant innings, I would take it. Yeah, he does go. Yeah. And it's unfortunate because he'd be getting out a lot of times and the game would still be 0-0. Unfortunately, so that sucks. But I mean, his stats are just ridiculously off the charts. So, but if he could last into the 7th, I mean, that would be better. It would be better. Sometimes he does, but a lot of times he does not. But I mean, he'd be better off with more run support. He would be. Just Cole with the Yankees didn't get much run support this year, and so you wind up pitching in much more high leverage situations, way too more often than you should be doing so. So, and that's unfortunate too. Yeah, and this is one reason why. I mean, Anthony, I think a 6-man rotation would probably be a better idea. That we starters can go deeper into the game, 6th and 7th, and have an extra day's rest. I think I would do that. I would do that. Ola, and you're welcome. And I will be doing following your request as well. I've already started working on my lineup, like my ideal lineup this offseason. I'm going to give you a couple of different options, actually. So I'm working on that, and I'll have a video done for you as well. So, but thank you, Ola, for your support. I appreciate you. Yeah, I love doing this stuff. So I love being here with you guys. So I'll be wrapping up shortly because I want to go see the Braves close this out. But 3 outs left. Oh, man. Oh, baby. Yeah, see, this is the thing, too. Like, Dodgers, the most talented roster out there, and it looks like they're not going to make it. This is what happens. Nothing's guaranteed in the playoffs. This is the thing. So, winter meetings, Chop. The winter meetings are, I think, December 5th to the 8th. And then the Rule 5 draft is either the 8th or the 9th. So, it's generally the second week or end of the first week into the second week of December every year. So, but I got you covered, Ola. If I could add only one free agent, who would it be? If I could only add one and nobody else, it would probably be Correa because he'd have the biggest impact, I think, of all the free agents that are out there. Well, DeGrom is the best pitcher in baseball. I mean, I'm saying that as a Yankee fan, too. I would love it if he were here with Cole. That would be awesome. I hear that, yeah. Hot hand and length of side. Exactly, Jeffrey. Exactly, man. Jared, sorry about your connection, man. Sorry about your connection. I wish you were not having bad connection, but I will wrap it up. I want to thank you guys all for coming out. Let's go watch the Braves close out the Dodgers. I'll do a live stream in a couple days, but I have a bunch of videos. My next one coming out Monday, so my free agent, actually my Mets off-season, the blueprint and predictions as per request from somebody, and then you have my top free agent targets for Yankee shortstop. Next day, and you have a bunch, and my MLB free agent predictions are coming out this coming week, so you're not going to want to miss those. But thank you as always. Thank you for the dono hype and the dono loves for all you guys. And I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys during the week. Enjoy your night. Great weekend. Over and out.